ready, I'm going to start. Welcome to Financial Literacy Lunch Bytes Session 9. This is episode 9 and welcome to my weekly webinar. This is a weekly webinar that is held every single Wednesday. It's a weekly recurring webinar on every Wednesday from 1:30 to 2 p.m. is to cater to the lunch crowd, so that they can join me for a quick 30 minutes financial literacy session. So each week, we will focus on one topic for the week. I'll share with you what is the topic for this week later. And for those who are new, first time joining me, welcome. And for those who have been joining me for the past few weeks, welcome too. I wanted to share a little bit about what my work is based on. I base my work on NLP, which essentially is neuro-linguistic programming. And it is just a brief introduction on what NLP is. NLP, it works on the unconscious mind, where we have our thinking mind, which is 10%. And we also have our unconscious mind, which forms the other 90% of our mind. And in NLP, we identify programs and patterns that arises in our everyday life. It has tools and process techniques to help us strengthen the resources that we want, like excitement, motivation. It also helps us to remove or reduce those programs and patterns that we do not want, like fear or obstruction or, stuff like that. So that's essentially what NLP is. So just a very brief introduction. And I mentioned NLP because essentially what I do is in this 30 minutes webinar, I will be asking a lot of questions. The intention of the questions is to trigger thoughts so that whatever that I'm sharing, you can relate it back to your own life, back to your own situation, back to your current issue or anything that you may be facing. And so the intention is to trigger thoughts. Along the way, I may ask the same question different times at different points and notice what came up for you, notice what thoughts come up for you, how you are feeling, what you're thinking, notice in your mind what came up for you. So so that's essentially how I will conduct the session. It's based on NLP and asking lots and lots of very good questions. The intention of it is to, I like to use the onion analogy where, I peel back the layers with the questions. I go deeper and deeper into the root cause and into the issue at hand. So it's never as simple as just looking at the behavior, using discipline to shift spending habits or money management. It's not that. It's a lot more psychological than that. So yeah, that's how it is. So I will be asking lots of questions and I will be pausing at each point so that you get to get a chance to think about the answer to the question and you get a chance to relate it back to your life. So hello. Thank you for joining. And so that's a brief introduction on how I conduct the webinar series. So let me share my screen for today. Yeah. Oops, I have to move this and yeah, this is my screen. Please bear with me a moment as I shift. Yeah. Adjust my screen. Okay, good. So as I mentioned earlier, this is session number 9 and welcome again to my Lunch Bytes weekly series. So every week I will always have this particular slide every week and I want to share the emphasis on why I share that particular slide. But first, let me show you what that slide is about. Sorry, I think I'm having a technical issue. Okay, it's moving. Very good. So I always like to share this in every single one of my webinar, you know, about where we are at and where we want to be. So I'll share with you shortly, I'll explain shortly why I have this particular slide every week. So what is this about? Point A, for those who are watching for the first time or listening to the podcast for the first time, point A is where we are at now. And we all have somewhere that we want to get to. And point B is our direction and goal that we want to achieve, you know, where we want to get to. So how do we get from point A to point B? First, we must first assess where we are at now, which is point A, and point B is obviously the goal that you know, you have clarity enough to ascertain that that's the goal that you want to. So and the way from point A to point B is like this. It is not a straight line. And the reason why I always emphasize this slide is because I want to, you know, hit home the idea that there is this thing called adjustments along the way, that, you know, where when we get from where we are at now to where we are going to be, where we want to be, what we want to achieve, we have to make adjustments along the way. Of course, we set plans, we set actions, but it is also about, you know, the ability, the flexibility to adapt, the ability to adapt, the flexibility to make changes and make adjustments along the way. So with that in mind, let's look at the topic for today. Today's topic, I am going to talk about 3 steps, 3 simple steps to take stock of what you have. You know, and I'm using the 3 bucket. You see the red, green, blue bucket. Very nice, right? Yeah, I like that picture. It's yeah, nice. So I'm using 3 buckets analogy, and I'm going to share with you 3 steps on to take stock of what you have. And what is that? That is essentially point A. So I'm going to start from point A. So think about your current state of finances. You know, if you see the picture on the screen, you will see a pile of clothes, with messy clothes, with you know, the big mess, with clothes, with shoes, with bags, you know, and I see all the types of clothes. And think about it. Is that your current state of finances at this point in time? I'm going to pause a little bit just so that you can think about it and reflect. You know, some answers come up very easily, some answers, you know, you don't have to say out loud, obviously. Well, we can type in if you want, but, you know, end of the day, you are only answerable to your own self, right? You're in charge of your life. So, answer this for yourself. You know, what is your current state of finances like? Is it in a mess like the picture you see on the screen with everything mixed up, you know, having to sort out everything? And or, you know, is it in a clean state where you can start working on whatever you want to work on? And I want to highlight interesting point on the slide. There is a t-shirt on top that says I have nothing to wear. So how often, you know, when we talk about clothes, even bags and shoes, how often do we open up our closet? We know that it's full. We know that it's bursting already. But yet, when we open the closet, we will be telling ourselves, I have nothing to wear today. How often does that happen? Right? So, in the same way, when it comes to your finances, you know, do you have all your money spread out all over the place? All your money or all your debts or all your bills and all your outstanding payments, everything spread all over the place, that at the end of the day, you have this feeling that, oh, I've got no money to spend. I don't know where my money is coming from. I don't know how to measure my cash flow or stuff like that for the next week. So do you see the similarity between the I have nothing to wear syndrome with the I do not know what's coming up for me in my cash flow next month when it comes to money management, right? So think about it. Is that your situation right now? If not, then it's fine. You will still benefit from knowing how to sort everything out. I'm sure you will get value out of this. And if it is your situation right now, think about what you can do, right? Which is also what I'm going to share next. And with this, I am going to, similar to cleaning up, you know, a messy pile of clothes, bags, shoes, I am going to use the 3 bucket analogy on this pile, you know. So we are going to talk in turn about each bucket, you know, which forms each of the steps. right? So let's look at the very first bucket. Okay, the first bucket is the blue one. Blue bucket, which is the first step to take stock of what you have. What do? You take stock of what are the resources that you have. What do I mean by resources? Going back to the clothes analogy, when you have a pile of clothes that you don't know whether it's clothes that you want, clothes that you want to throw away, clothes that you can fit, cannot fit, old clothes, new clothes, stuff like that. There are some clothes that could still be in their packing, original packing that you bring back from the shop. Well, to some people, I know people who are like that. So step one, identify what are the resources. Similarly, when it comes to the clothes, pick out all the clothes that you can fit in, that you can wear and you want. These are things that you want. And put all these things into the bucket. Right? What are examples of those things? There are examples like your cash. There are things like the income that you have. So when we talk about cash and income, cash is what you have on hand now. Knowing, and I'm going to repeat this, I know I've said it to some people, I'm going to say this again, when you have clarity in your current state of affairs, be it good or bad, you have peace of mind. In the sense that you know where to go forward from here. Be it when you have clarity, if you are very good, you have like many months of funds, emergency funds, you know your financial affairs very well, that gives you peace of mind, good. But if you're at a situation where you are in debt or have liabilities and stuff like that, even knowing how deep you are in the hole gives you clarity and gives you power, because you know exactly that forms the basis for what is the plan that you need to take next, what is the step that you need to take next, right? So that is valuable, be it good or bad, it is valuable. So first take stock of, I'll touch on that later when it comes to step two. So step one, resources, look at all the cash you have, and by cash I mean all your existing assets you have in every single bank account. And you'd be surprised, sometimes they are long forgotten bank account from open since don't know when, long time ago. So yeah, and with that, list down all the cash that you have and list down what is the income that you're going to receive. And why do I ask you to list down the income? Because that is a projection mode where you can sort of more or less project how much you're going to get every month, and that sort of helps in your planning as well. Yeah. So yeah. So that is your projection when we talk about the income. So this is step one, resources. So step two, we're going to look at the red bucket. What is step two? Step two, you list out what are the outstanding that you have, right? What are those? Such as your payment, bills that are due, your outstanding payments. It could be your utility bill, your rental, your food, your transport, things that you need to pay out. Know what it is, and know what are your outstanding debts. Write them down. Going back to the clothes analogy, this will be the part where you pick up the clothes where it's been so long that you cannot fit into them anymore. And this will be the clothes where you know that you're never going to wear because they are so out of fashion that you wouldn't be seen dead in them. Yeah, and these are the clothes that you put into this bucket where you want to throw away. And why do I say throw away? Because this is the benchmark I have for step two. If you're not sure what are the categories, I have two benchmarks for this. So if you're not sure what to put inside this category, first guideline would be, if it is something that you wish you can just hit the delete button and it disappears, then it belongs into this category, right? All your bills, all your debts, all your liabilities, everything. If you wish that you can just hit the delete button and it disappears, okay, good, it falls into this category. The second guideline that I have, benchmark that I have, is if it is something that you need to pay, you need to give, it is an outflow, or funds, then it belongs into this category as well. Things, cash that are going out. And again, I want to share this, that there is no good or bad money management. There is no good or bad money management and money habits. It is just whatever that you are, whatever habits that you have, whatever behaviors that you have now will lead to a result, will lead to a consequence. So it is about what is the consequence that you want to have, and then you look at shifting your behaviors and habits along the way, right? So back to this, step 2 is to look at, list down all your outstandings, all your outstanding payments, all your bills, when you give money that you give your parents, what you have, and cash their outflow. They're going out. Remember the 2 guidelines, the 2 benchmarks? The first one is, if you can hit the delete button, you wish that you can just hit the delete button and it goes away. This is it. And the second one is anything that's any cash outflow that you need to give out. Those are things that belong into this category, this step 2. Okay, and moving on. Step 3. What is step 3? Step 3, I call it the green bucket, which would be your antiques. Okay, I'm going to spend a little bit time to explain a little bit about this. What are antiques? And why do I include this step? So many times, when we look at what we have, and this is my experience after working with so many people, I talk to so many people about their money. I work with my clients when it comes to their cash flow, and this is one thing that sometimes they are missed out. Where a lot of people look at bank account, cash, fixed deposit, and that's all good, and look at their debts, everything. But this is the thing that I want to highlight, because antiques, what are antiques? Antiques are things that are long, from the old times. So now I want to ask a question to trigger your thought, which is, what are some of the things, be it assets or liabilities, that you have, but you have forgotten about it? Think about it. And it will take a while to come to you because it's been so long forgotten. And I call them gems and old debts. So why are they gems? So because gems are, to me, gems, when I talk about gems with antiques, it is a long forgotten asset that they have. The other day, I was just talking to this client, and we were listing down all his assets and everything. And then suddenly he was telling me, hey, I have this land back in India where I know it belongs to me because I have the title deed and it's being passed down from generation. And, or rather, the title deed I think belongs to is with his mom now, but it belongs to him. So that is an asset for him. And that is a resource that he can make full use of. So, and one other reason why I bring this up is because many times we are so caught up in our own situation. We are so present to what we are looking at right now that we forget to take the bigger picture, look at the macro overview picture of our lives, and think about exactly what other assets do we have. I'm not saying that everybody will have it, but I'm saying that, this is something that is worth thinking about, right? If this is the first time you are hearing this from me, let it stay at the back of your mind and let it be in the background. And sometime along the way, something may just pop up and you may realize that, oh yeah, that is something that someone told me that, could be an inheritance or some land or something, which is an asset where when you have identified, it can be put to good use, right? It's an asset, it's a resource that you can use. And if it's yours, of course, legally, morally, ethically, if it's yours, right? So we look at gems. In this category, I'll put inside gems. And I'll also put in old debts. What are old debts? Old debts are stuff that are long forgotten, where we forget that we may owe other people. We may have taken up the debt, a loan from, for example, I don't know, recently it's come to my attention that, you know, if you okay, let me articulate this properly. Recently it's come to my attention that when you take up a loan from an insurance policy, a savings policy, you know, somehow some insurance policy allows you to take loan, and you know, this insurance loans, where, well, end of the day, it's essentially your money that you put in, but they loan it out to you as at an interest. These loans, they actually do not send you monthly statements. And so you have to be aware that if you have taken loan from them previously, know that that is something that you are still paying interest for at the end of the day. So otherwise, it's eating into your benefits. So yeah, these are some stuff that you need to take note of. So going back, how do I relate this to the clothes analogy? So it's as if, you know, looking at into that pile of clothes, you suddenly find things that are still in its original packing. You know, sometimes a room is so messy that, or you know, yeah, your room or your house is so messy that, you know, when you buy things from the store or shop, you know, you come back, you just put the thing in its original packing with the ribbon still nicely tied, with the receipt still there in the plastic bag, that, you know, the paper bag that it's not even open. So these are the gems and stuff that you can use. And that falls into these categories, in stuff that are still in its original packing. So step 3, take note of what are the antiques that you have, any gems, any old debts. So why I mentioned old debts with regards to loans to other people, I don't know about you, but for me, my belief is how I manage money is such that I believe in, I want to use the word karma, but that's not so much for money sense, but it's in the same same flow of what I'm trying to communicate. When I treat money well, when money returns to its own rightful owner, then the money situation in your life becomes somehow much more manageable. Almost similar to karma. It's like, you know, when you do good to other people, sometimes you feel that, hey, out of the blue, you know, a miracle happens and you receive blessing as well. So to me, money is a energy exchange as well. So when you, especially for debts that, you know, people that you are owing money to, when you can return it to them without them even asking for it, and then you'll realize that, hey, money flows into your life much more smoothly in a way. And I've experienced it when I work with some of my clients who are entrepreneurs. You know, I always tell them, you know, it is this good business sense to drag your payments to the longest period that you can because of the credit terms that's given to them. But then I ask them, you want people to pay you fast, right? So you don't want people to delay payment. Of course, you can drag until the end of the credit term, but you don't want to overshot the credit term and not pay them because that is bad business sense, right? So yeah, that's my 2 cents input on debts owing to people. So coming back to step 3, this is my antiques. Yeah, this is my section on antiques. Think about what are the things that are long forgotten, resources, assets, liabilities that you may have, and put them into this category, right? Okay, so moving on. I have this template, which, you know, the title, 3 steps to take stock of what you have. And I will send this to those, this template, I'll be sending this to those who are watching this webinar right now. Yeah, and so you get this, you will receive this, and you can print out and list down all the 3 steps, that 3 categories that you have. So step 1 would be list down all your resources first. Well, by the way, there is a reason why I listed the way I listed. You know, why is in sequence, you know, step 1, 2, and 3. Because step 1, we look at resources first, we look at what we have. Because when we look at what we have, it sort of gives us confidence to know that either we have money coming in, projecting, and it sort of we start on a good note to know exactly what we have, and so we start on a high. And it's always good to start on the positive front, as opposed to looking at debts and liabilities first. So step one, we look at what are the resources, what do you have, list out all your cash or your bank account or your income for projection purposes. And step two, then list out all your outstanding payments, debts, all your liabilities, everything. And then step three, list out all your antiques, things, your long forgotten assets, lands, inheritance. Yeah, sorry, what just came to my mind is, do I have any inheritance? Yeah. Okay, so list out all your antiques, all your gems, all your old debts, and everything. List out everything into this sheet of paper. If it's not enough, print another page and just add it on. Basically, just write down everything so that you have clarity at the end of the day. What is your current situation and what you have exactly? Remember, with clarity, there is power, right? Why? Because it helps you to chart your next step. You have clarity in what you're going to do into the next step.